This is WWE Hall of Famer Tito Santana, and you are watching When It Was Real with noted wrestling historian, author, actor, and wrestling manager Nikita Breznikov, and pro wrestling author and podcaster Benny Scala. Found only on the Playa Entertainment Network. Arriba!
Thank you, Tito. Well, good evening, folks, and welcome back to When It Was Real, the show that celebrates that magical time when professional wrestling was so very real to us. Now, I'm just some Mama Luke in a Fakakta bowling shirt in the 20th row at the Hamburg Fieldhouse waiting for Joe McHugh to do his intros. But this other guy, he is the real deal. He is the one and only Nikita Breznikov. Nikita, how are you, my friend?
Beautiful. I'm so happy and excited tonight. Get your comments ready, people. Heroes of Wrestling. It was October 10th, 1999. Fred Richards, the great referee Fred Richards was there. Julio De Niro was there.
Still got the shirt.
Beautiful. And let me tell you something. Let it fly. We're going to be like a shortstop. We're going to, like the Orioles infield. We're going to field every ground ball tonight.
You're going to be the Mark Belanger, right?
Oh, I loved it. Number 7.
Or Brooks. I mean, what a side of the infield.
And today, Benny, in 1970, they won the World Series against Cincinnati.
I mean, that had to be the best left side of the infield in the history of baseball, right? Who was better than the two of them?
Johnson and Powell weren't too shabby neither.
They were, yeah. That was a great. I mean, that was just a great team. Period.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I never liked baseball. I was a fan of the legitimate sports, pro wrestling, roller derby, all that type of stuff.
Roller derby, love it.
Started with roller derby. Holy crap! I love
roller derby at Sunnyside Garden. Are you kidding me? Come on, Charlie O'Connell, the hair pulling. Oh, I loved it. It was.
I went to the Garden in 1970, the largest crowd ever at the time, to see the Bombers and the Midwest Pioneers.
There you go.
Fred, I never understood how they scored. I still don't know.
Nobody knew, especially the referee in the middle, running around from one side of the oval to the other.
You had to lap the skaters.
That's right.
When they did the movie, Miss Raquel Welch was in it, and my God, you had to take notice. That's it.
All right. Well, let me do a quick commercial to pay the bills, and then we'll do a toast, and then we'll be off to the races. Here we go. New commercial.
Time.
Wrestling fans, whether you're in the ring or just stuck in traffic, life can hit harder than a steel chair on a Saturday night. And when it does, you need someone in your corner who knows how to fight back. Enter the Burbrower Law Firm, laying down legal smackdown since 1973. That's right, over 50 years of grappling with the toughest cases and never tapping out. You don't last that long in a legal game unless you've got the skill, the grit, and the heart of a champion. Walk into Adam Burbrower's office and you'll feel like you're stepping into a Hall of Fame locker room. Posters of Ernie the Cat Ladd and Johnny Rods on the walls, and tattoos of superstar Billy Graham and Bret the Hitman Hart on his body. Just like Bret was the excellence of execution, Adam Burbrower is the excellence of elocution. Precise, persuasive, and powerful, whether he's in court or cutting a promo in front of the judge. If you've ever been in an accident and need a real legal heavyweight, call Adam Burbrower. He's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Hit up burbrowerlaw.com and follow Adam on Facebook. And when you call, make sure you tell him that Nikita and the Playa sent you. The Burbrower Law Firm. Legal justice with main event style.
Beautiful.
There we go. All right, Nikita, who are we going to toast to tonight?
Everybody that was in the Heroes of Wrestling that are no longer with us, those that are still with us, it was done to honor professional wrestling, and we'll explain as we go along. But thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. God bless everybody. And for all the fans that bought it and tried to support it, thank you.
Could have been 4 shows a year.
That from Jane makes me want to go out and roll my car. I guess
Hey!
All right.
I did a good job in that commercial.
You sure did. Now
Bill
we're hitting the
Stone,
big time, Benny.
the Bill Stone who put the stake through the heart. A salute.
A salute.
Well, you know what? Poor Bill, he took the hit, right?
Was he the money man? He was the money man, correct? And,
His ass is still bleeding, but yes.
and Mike O'Brien was more like the Booker man. Is that sort of the story there?
You hit the nail on the head, Julio.
Got it.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Mike O'Brien.
Yep.
Now
he's Mike Lombardi, if anyone didn't know that.
He switched from the Italian.
Yeah, he's Mike Lombardi in the world of wrestling. I'm sure, and that's probably his personal. Maybe it was to do with his dad or something like that. I forget exactly what was going on, but yeah. So.
I had no idea. So anyway, folks, what happened was they got together, Bill Stone, Mike O'Brien, and I'm sure there were some other backers, investors, and they decided they were going to come up with something. At the time, let's set this table for you. The WWE, they were doing Suck It, they're doing the crotch gimmick, all that kind of nonsense. And it was like, okay, it is what it is. So what Mr. Bill Stone decided, he wanted to go back to the roots of wrestling. That's why you saw the names George Steele, Nikolai, Iron Sheik, Jimmy Snuka, Lou Albano, who was the commissioner. I mean, the list goes on and on. Were they in their prime? No. If you expected to see them at that age, I suggest you make an appointment with your doctor, see if your brain would fit in a canary and if it will fly straight. It was like being at an old-timers game at Yankee Stadium. These guys, as our good friend Evan Ginsberg has beat into the ground, have no pension, have no hospitalization, no insurance. So this was like, hey, you know what? Let's give you something here. This was supposed to be not just a one-time deal. It was going to continue, maybe bi-monthly, different appearances. Fred, am I leaving anything out?
No, you're not leaving anything out. Everybody was an independent contractor. And the biggest thing they had, I refereed many matches. Guys had 102 fever. They had a broken finger. Why? Because they knew in the realistic world of pro wrestling, and if that's not an oxymoron, what is? If they didn't show up for their match, if they announced that they couldn't work and people didn't yell refund, the promoter knew he was paying them too much to begin with. And a lot of promoters did that. It was a tough life. And until you made it up to the top rung, you reached into your pocket for everything. Limousines, airplanes, private jets. Okay, Santa Claus is coming down the chimney. It's just not the way it went. But Bill Stone had a good idea, and then they screwed it all up. It could have been big. It could have been big, like Marlon Brando said on the waterfront. Or it could have been a contender, but we weren't, for a variety of reasons, many of which I'm sure we're going to touch upon this evening.
Yes. And to put it mildly, and as I know from the world of Screen Actors Guild, you were so bad it was good. And any kind of publicity is always welcome, and it's great. As long as they're talking about you and you don't have the dirt covering you up, that's great. Keep on talking. Now, Julio, you were going to be part of the Young Lions that they were going to actually develop. Now, the dinosaurs were going to be there for the name recognition, but they had the Young Lions because you worked Too Cold Scorpion.
Too Cold Scorpio, yes. And as I want to give a shameless plug to my friend Tyler Cates' book. It's called Wrestling Trivia Night Volume 1. It'll give you a lot of information about a lot of the old timers and all the old territories. But regardless of that, I wanted to make sure I got that off. But I want to also say that, yeah, they were going to have a crew of young guys to maybe bring the show to the 20th century or 21st century at that point. But, mix this in with some of the other guys. So fun time with Too Cold Scorpio, and it was a really great event for me. And everyone says, Timmy Baltimore from Limpin' Ain't Easy podcast, he goes, it was a beautiful disaster. And for my existence in the world of wrestling, I really have nothing but positive things to say about it. And I'm going to give you guys a lot of positives on the show when you guys may go into the negatives, and we'll see what happens. But I really believe that I can point out a few things that were great, and obviously there's a lot of information about the things that were not great that still could be considered great, even if it's rated on NC-17. But yeah, it was still a fun time.
Well, the biggest problem back in those days was pay-per-view, and a lot of it was pirated, and there's no way you could stop it. It wasn't just Bill Stone or Foss Stone Productions or anybody else, because it was happening to Vince as well, and he was pissed about it. And it was just a way of life. People had the little gimmick. They would get to the cable box and they could hook you up with me, hook you up with them, and you didn't have to pay a dime for anything.
How was the pay-per-view buy rate? Do you have any idea of the business behind it? Because I don't think I ever learned about the business behind it, but I heard it didn't have a bad buy rate for considering it didn't have a TV show to launch it. And it seemed like a pretty 29,000 buys.
That's what was verified was 29,000, which you're right, Julio. At that point in history, it was pretty damn good for an unheard of project. It was
what was the price tag? $18? What was it?
It was $19.95.
So I don't have a calculator, but that's not bad.
At that point in time, $19.95 still put your meal at a good restaurant.
$600,000 definitely covered the production costs and the paydays, I guaranteed. So you wonder, So Bill Stone can be upset about a lot of things, but I don't think he lost money in that endeavor. Do you think? Unless you only get half of it.
Money. I think when I met him at the airport the next day, and he was tight-lipped, but finally he opened up. He was more disturbed by the content.
Of course.
He didn't want to see anything hardcore. I mean, Jake the Snake Roberts, at that point, his name was an absolute profanity. King Kong Bundy pulled that one out. Rest in peace, my friend Chris. But what went on with the snake that day, nobody will ever forget. That's what they talk about. Julio, I want to give him kudos where he's well earned them. Remember, they were not billing him. They were billing Reckless Youth against Scorpio. Julio came in, saved the day. I remember the match. He did what people in this business are supposed to do. He understood, like I said before, it's not the Olympics, it's the theater, and he got the crowd going. Julio understood. We had him that night. Now our mission was to give him a reason to come back again. And not everybody rose to that level. Bravo.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing. Reckless Youth, who I replaced, was the best wrestler on the independent circuit at the time. And he actually got hired by WWF to go to, I want to say, Memphis. And I know that my wife has read Daniel Bryan's book, and he says glowing things about Reckless Youth. So even to come in as his replacement is a very good thing on my behalf. The fact that they said, all right, you're next. You can do his job. Even if you don't do it as well as him, you can still be the guy to do that with Scorpio. So I was very happy to get the payday, and I was happy to get the exposure, and it was my first pay-per-view ever. So again, another positive for me. It was my first pay-per-view ever. I might have done 50 in my life, but that was the first one, and I still carry the shirt around, and I never get rid of it because I don't care. And if you ever wasted your time and went to my Twitter page, this is the picture you see. It's not my mug on it. It's this. And I mean, so people can be embarrassed about it, but I couldn't care less. I had a great time. I had a lot of fun, and it's always positive. It's always a positive memory in my brain.
Absolutely, I love that, Julio. That's perfect.
We had a lot. Let's remember from the beginning.
Go.
We were supposed to have Gordon Soley. Rest in peace. That's when he started his losing battle against.
Hey, can I give you another piece of trivia real quick? It may not be in this book. Sorry, but I actually was Gordon Soley's last WCW match ever. So it's Gordon Soley, it's Larry Zbyszko, and it is Dusty Rhodes calling the action. It's me versus, I'm going to guess, Ming. Could be wrong. Wasn't some beautiful match. I probably just got my ass handed to me and obliterated in 1995, I would guess. I'd only been in the business for like less than a year, so I really didn't belong anywhere near any of those guys. But heck, I got in, so whatever. But yeah, so I did Gordon Soley's last match. Just if anyone needs to know that, and the reason why I know that is because the guy who wrote this book, Tyler Cates, he is the one who told me about it because he follows wrestling much closer than I do. So I just thought I'd give you guys the heads up.
It was supposed to be Gordon and Ted DiBiase. And we ended up with Dutch Mantel and Randy Rosenblum, who knew nothing whatsoever. I mean, he referred to drop kicks. He referred to things that are the vernacular in this business. And he didn't have a clue. He had a good, deep voice, but it ended there.
He did.
And
He
it
was like Marv Albert. Remember Marv Albert, who used to call the matches in the boxing matches in the NBA?
Yeah,
that announcer had a great voice. And what I liked about him is he remembered little things we'd give him. Like we'd be like, "Hey, what do you want to be called in there?" I said, "Nah, just say things like I'm the Michael Jordan of wrestling." Like Brulio De Niro just hit a dragged arm, but boy, is he the Michael Jackson, or not the Michael Jackson, the Michael Jordan of wrestling. So he would botch the spots and the names of the moves, but he remembered all the doohickey stuff that wasn't probably important. So it was great. Anyways,
Rosenblum saw a drop kick, and to him, it was a flying leg kick.
Yes, a flying leg kick. Odd thing. Never seen it.
Kindergarten level knew better. It was bad. And we tried to make the best out of it. And the guys in the ring.
Why was he chosen? How was he chosen?
How did he get the job? Did he know Fostone?
That I don't know. I know he was a last-minute replacement. Where they got him from, your guess is as good as mine.
He had a great voice for wrestling, boxing. He just had no knowledge of it. That's all.
I know he did college sports. I saw him one time before wrestling came on Saturday at 4, Julio, on Channel 45.
WBFF, baby.
WBFF. And then he was like, Randy Rosenblum. Hey, that's the guy that did Heroes. And he was just, carrying over a college basketball game. So he had experience. They didn't get him off the corner. What's that?
Yeah, he just didn't know pro wrestling. Yeah, without a doubt. We can admit that, but you got to find the joy in it by now. It's been 26 years, so I would almost watch it again just to hear how bad he is and laugh about it a little bit, because now it's so far gone that you can't be upset about it. But you're right. I mean, he definitely wasn't the right guy. And if I'm not mistaken, I might have read something in Pro Wrestling Stories, shameless plug, to the people who write those stories. But I believe that Dutch Mantel realized this guy was not up to par and may have checked himself out. So before you knew it, people weren't even calling the matches at all. Who knows what you were listening to?
Well, Mantel took a very de minimis role for the exact reason that Julio just stated. The guy didn't know his ass from his elbow. He made a best effort. Had he been on the football field, I'm sure it would have been a lot more persuasive. Right. They did the best they could with what they had. Sometimes it just works out that way.
Dutch helped. He definitely saved a lot. It would have been a complete disaster, but yeah.
I haven't watched it, and I never watched it. I mean, that sounds crazy, right? But I've never watched the show. I was on the show, and I never watched it. If I did, it might have been maybe once. People go, "Is it on YouTube?" I'm like, I'm sure it is, but I just haven't actually spent any time with it. But I do remember hearing things, and I do remember, reading things about it. So that's interesting.
Well, Julio, you had Captain Lou throughout your match. He came in. He was supposed to be for the Bushwhackers and Nikolai and Sheik, but he came out early. Lou was sober. He was not drinking in those days. He was completely sober. And then they announced him as the commissioner. And he put on a Lou Albano production. He's crying, and Dutch Mantel's patting on back. It was great.
So let me ask you. So Lou Albano was asked to be was told he was commissioner. He had to leave the announce table, and Dutch Mantel replaced him, and he was crying because he wasn't at the announce table. What am I missing on the what was the heartstring moment?
He was overwhelmed by emotion that he was chosen to be the commissioner of Heroes of Wrestling, and he started to rattle off. He said, "We're going to do pay-per-view events. We're going to do live events, autograph signing.
He was selling it.
Neighborhood. Yeah, Lou.
He would be perfect. He was probably the best guy for that. If you think about Lou Albano, he might have been the best guy for that type of thing, because who rattled more than him? He might be just as verbose as Jim Cornette, which is pretty freaking crazy if you think about it.
In his own way, absolutely, yes.
He was. In case you don't know Louis' background, Louis, I knew him before he got in the business, before he teamed up with Tony Altamari and they did the Sicilians.
Yeah.
Wow. How'd you know him?
Louis owned his own cab. He was a cab driver in Mount Vernon, New York, which is just north of the Bronx.
I know it, yeah.
Always a very affable guy. You could talk to him. And when he got into business, he was a natural because his middle name was Ham.
Yeah.
Altamari was the more quiet of the two when they teamed together. But Louis could do it. And then when he started, yeah, baby, the rubber bands, the whole thing. Come on.
When did Lou Albano debut in all of pro wrestling? First match. I don't care where it was. When did he join the business?
I'd be guessing. I don't know.
When did Altamori and him become a tag team? How about that?
It's got to be the
Somewhere in
50s.
the early 50s, I think.
Yeah.
Early 50s? You're not talking about mid 60s. You're talking early 50s. He was wrestling.
He was wrestling in the 50s. Yes.
I don't know. I think it's more probably
Wait a
right
minute.
around 60, but
Well,
I'll yield.
you guys are talking. I'm
not
going to check that out.
Please do. And also, while Benny, you're the superstar on the music front, and whether you people know it or not, I am a music nerd, and I like music more than wrestling, which is messed up. So I want to know, if you find out what year Lou Albano entered pro wrestling, I want to know which band stayed at number one with a single for the longest period of time. If Casey Kasem was calling the top 40, which was probably before his time. But my point is, what band that year had the number one single the longest on the charts? I want to know what band had that in whatever Lou Albano's return or debut was.
All right. Well, you guys talk, and I'll be doing that.
Well, now this is a shoot. Lou used to manage NRBQ, Tiddlywinks.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's no. It was a rock.
I don't even know what that is. So am I just born in 1972 and I'm just clueless to NRBQ Tiddlywinks? What's that?
Julio, that was 1980. Yeah, that was no bullshit.
I watched wrestling in 1980.
But he was actually trying to help this rock band get off the ground.
I understand. Yeah, I got you. Now, I didn't know anything about them, so I missed their career.
Well, you probably, they didn't make it to the top 4. They didn't make it to the top 400, but
no, nevertheless, that's the connection with Dave Wolf and Cyndi Lauper, huh? Pretty cool. I never knew that. If we can keep this wrestling and music related, man, wow, I'm going to be really on the ball with you guys because I'm a total music nerd, more than a wrestling nerd. And I know you guys are wrestling nerds. I know you're historians. So we can mix music and wrestling history. I'm going to be so freaking happy. You're going to be like, shut up, dude. Stop asking a million questions about music. But I'm just telling you.
Bring them on,
all right,
brother.
I have an answer here. Lou Albano's first match, according to WrestlingData.com, was on October 18th, close to now, 1958 at the Westchester County Center, White Plains, New York.
Cool.
Versus Steve Stanley, winner unknown. And the number one song for 1958 was Volare by Domenico Modugno.
Domenico Modugno. Done later on.
And Benny, I know that you love the 60s and 70s pop era. Do you still remember the late 50s pop era too?
No, I kind of start in the I would say around 66-ish.
Gotcha. You're more of a Cream, Jimi Hendrix, Monkees type.
Beatles on forward.
But Beatles came out before 66, right? They came out like 63-ish.
They were on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Gotcha, man. Cool. All right. Sorry.
Now, Julio.
Steve Stanley was a jobber. He was the brother of Gene Stanley, who was a Mr. America competitor.
And did Paul Stanley from Kiss? Was Paul Stanley from Kiss and the Family?
Was located right off the Bronx River Parkway. Arnold Skolin lived minutes from there. He and his wife, Betty, rest in peace. It was a major suburban venue. They changed outdoors, weather permitting. But I go back into the 50s with this stuff.
Fred, you're amazing. Where'd you grow up, Fred? Where'd you grow up?
Say it again.
Where did you grow up? Where were you born and lived and all that stuff?
Bronx, New York.
Ah, gotcha. All right, cool. I go to Queens, New York every day, but I never cross either of the bridges that take me to the Bronx. But I'm in Queens, New York almost every day.
Fred, let me ask you a quick question. That Steve Stanley, is that the same guy that eventually showed up in the early 80s? Nikita will remember this guy as Mighty Joe Thunder.
Not that I recall, but I might be wrong.
I wouldn't know.
How old would he have been as Mighty Joe Thunder?
In his late 40s by then.
Oh, you know what? I'm 53. I could still work, so why not?
You could.
I remember it was let's be intellectually honest. It was a lot easier to work back then. They weren't doing all these high flying moves off the top rope. That's why people. How old was Carl von Hess when he stopped? In his 70s? Because they weren't getting their knees blown out.
How about Baron von Raschke? How long did he stay in the business for, dude?
The answer is a long time because they worked smart.
Yeah,
it was a career to them.
You're right. You didn't need a retirement plan. You just hung out until you freaking turned 70 and kept a little money on the side.
And that's right.
And opened a business, probably. You know,
it's like you said. They had no retirement plans. There was no union, although Jesse the Body tried to start one. You went out, you squirreled it away. Everybody went out after night to the gin mills. They all talk about the women they never had. And that was just the lifestyle. I remember going out from Madison Square Garden right there on 8th Avenue when we were at
I
the,
would never talk about the women I've never had. I talk about all the women I did. That's so weird. Who would talk about the women you didn't get?
Don't say nothing.
It was a different point in time.
I'm messing with you. It's all good.
I know.
Hey,
the woman I never got. Let me tell you a story about the woman I never got. I would never tell that story. I'd tell you about the story I did. Anyways, we'll move
Julio,
on.
you and I have the distinction back in 1998 on this day at that hotel in Washington, D.C. We were in the room with James Brown, brother.
Dude, all I can say is we're going to have to preface this. Okay, there was a big boxing event. It was almost like a Hall of Fame event in D.C. Charity event, but it was cool. They had a lot of boxing stars. You're going to have to remember who the boxing stars were. I remember I had my MCW Maryland Championship Wrestling Tag Team title with me, and I felt so out of place. I'm carrying a belt that I was given because some guy made a decision. Hey, you and your friend Jimmy Cicero, the bald and beautiful, are going to win the tag team titles. Hey, and why don't you bring those titles and wear your wrestling outfit to this boxing? And I was like, these dudes punch each other for real. They die. They lose their teeth. Some of them lose their brain cells forever. I'm not saying Balls Mahoney didn't cause me to lose a few brain cells, but my point is, I was so out of place in a way. I felt like such a dumb person, like, yes, the promoter told me I'm the champ. And these guys are like, dude, I had to go fight that guy for that title. But it was a fun experience nonetheless. I just felt a little out of place. Hopefully you didn't feel nearly as out of place as I did. I just felt goofy holding a belt that somebody basically said, hey, the promoter's giving you the title tonight, buddy. Okay, thanks, man. So it was a little odd for me personally. And I'm a big boxing fan. Besides music, I'm a boxing nerd. So if you guys want to go into any boxing history, I will be with you. But if not, that's cool.
It was fun. And look, with Nikolai and I walking around like this amongst big money. I called it the Mucky Mucks of Mucky Mucks were there that night.
Can you name any boxing stars that were there? Because I remember seeing like real legends.
Was there. Everybody that was alive that was a boxing champion was there except Muhammad Ali because he just had trouble.
Can you name 3 more if you can? If not, don't worry about it.
Joe Frazier was there.
That's a big deal, dude. That's Joe freaking Frazier. I'm just sitting there with my MCW tag. He's probably like, yo, man, how'd you get that belt? Well, the promoter gave me a freaking Iggy and said, you got it tonight, dude. Well, that's cool. It's all good.
Do you remember meeting Tom Lasorda?
No, because my brain sucks at stuff like that. I wrestled Dusty Rhodes, and my friend Tyler Cates had to tell me about it because I forgot the whole fucking experience because I'm just a disaster. Can we curse on here?
He and his wife are waiting for an elevator. They're like, what the hell is this shit? You know, it's like, here we come with all this Russian garb.
Right.
Stuff, and it's like, but he was cool. He was like,
yeah. No, those guys are cool. They got it. They got it before we got it, probably. But that's cool. They were like, oh, wrestling, cool, nice. You know, and nowadays it's pop culture kind of, so it's cool. But I just felt a little weird, and that's no big deal. I just felt strange being like, hi, I have a belt, and the guy's like, who'd you beat for it? I'm like, who did we beat for the belts? I think we beat the Headbangers, but you know what I mean? Like it was an indie championship tag team title match. You know, it's just funny.
Headbangers was a big deal, right, Fred?
No, I get it, but I'm saying it was just being a wrestling champion amongst boxing champions. It's just a different feeling. I'm like, these guys earned it, really earned it. Their training camps were serious, and all I had to do was go to the gym and work out and diet well and learn how to do wrestling. But it just felt weird being amongst them. But again, that was just my weird complex, not yours. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself more.
Well, the 3 of us, Benny, we used to do the circuit a lot back then in the late 90s, 2000s, and the Headbangers were huge, right, Fred?
Of course. They're former tag team champions, yeah.
Yeah, for Vince, without a doubt.
Yeah, sure. They're a big deal. No, like I said, great accomplishment in the wrestling business, but just felt strange holding a championship amongst a bunch of boxing champions who really earned it. I mean, I think about what there's nothing worse than being a boxing guy. I mean, those guys work really hard to get to that level. It's worse than being a football player or anything else. That's a tough life. They live a rough existence.
No, actually, Julio, they're the same because of the head trauma that they take. My wife, Victoria, she had a brain tumor. She still has a little bit left. I learned a lot about how this works.
I bet you did.
I never thought I would be the puss to say, I don't believe kids should be playing high school football. There's too much pinpoint everything. Too much. The brain cannot take it.
I have 3 kids. They all play flag football, and that's the reason. So just so you know, and so I believe on that. Now I know this show is about the Heroes of Wrestling, so I feel like I veered it into like 8,000 directions. So zigzag back to reality if you want, but I'm just letting you know. I feel kind of weird that I've just like sent the show left, right, up, down, up, around.
For the family out there that follows us, thank you, Fred, because I had no idea Lou Albano was a cab driver. but learn something.
Lou Albano was a cab driver. He used to
Yeah,
go
you
into
guys are
Mount Vernon
amazing.
Diner on Fulton Street. He was always very approachable. In fact, when we all came back, we were all on the plane together. When we came back from Mississippi, him, Snooker, myself, Bill Stone, who had a face on him that could stop a clock at that point, was understandable. It's just a shame it never became what it could have become.
Hey, I got to ask you a question about you, Frank, because I know that you, and I know you're a real historian, and I'm really impressed. I watched this show a couple times just to get ready for this show that we're doing, but I actually watched a little bit, and I was like, whoa. I mean, we worked together for like Dick Carluzzo or what was Dennis Carluzzo? We worked for a bunch of guys, right? Yep. So I know you as the referee, but I didn't realize your knowledge of wrestling was so like crystalline and like goes so far back. When did George the Animal Steel debut? I thought it was in the 70s. I heard it might have been the 60s. So when did he?
WWE.
68.
Yeah, it was 68. He was a gentleman. We had a thing we did whenever we worked together. When he was doing his and he'd grab my arm, he always whispered to me, "I need a dose of kosher meat." And you know what went on, Julio, because you were in the ring. The way we would break balls on one another, the things that we would say.
Correct.
It was fun back then. That was before the days of microphones all over the place, and
True.
you could do that stuff. George Steele was a bright man, school teacher. He was no dummy.
Oh yeah.
But he went into gimmick and he got over.
I really just want to let you guys know that George Steele might be one of my favorite wrestlers ever, and totally a bright man. Like, if you guys think he's just that guy, you are so off the mark. He is such, and he even was smart enough to tell me, Julio, the whole thing you're doing with your little Latin dancing and your ring music and your whatever you're doing, that's not your thing. He was so smart. He's like, dude, you with the puffy hair when I had it back then, because you should be a psycho. You should be like a savage. You should be. And I was like, dude, I ain't got time for that. But he was so right, because like my gimmick was made for like a guy built like Evan Courageous with like perfect looks. And he knew exactly what I should be doing in my career. And I could have easily pivoted, and I was just too lazy to do it. But I'm telling you, George Steele was a super smart guy, and he knew exactly what he was looking at when he was looking at it. He knew if he was a promoter, if he was a booker, he would have been fantastic at that job. I'm just letting you guys know, he was unbelievable.
And he was a great athlete, which he never got to display because of his character. But
correct.
How many of you know?
One time, Fred.
How many of you know that George Steele wore a colostomy bag? Why do you think he didn't take many bumps?
He had Crohn's disease, didn't he?
That's
yep, correct. I remember that. And he got into nutraceuticals. Do you guys? I know we're taking Here's Wrestling into like all kinds of crazy crap, and I really apologize. He was the one who introduced me to. He introduced me to nutraceuticals. Anyone know what the hell that is?
Manatech, Julio Manatech.
He and Bill Watts.
Bill Watts and him were together, right? Exactly. No, it's just crazy because he told me, dude, nutraceuticals, they're great. It's all a bunch of nutrition. It actually helps you with your physical stuff. It's almost like taking drugs, but it's better for you. Well, I mean, that guy knew everything, man.
He and Cowboy Bill Watts sold that stuff.
Right.
Okay. They sold it. They needed to bring it. Remember, it wasn't the days of the mega salaries back then. It was a decent buck. You could make a living. But they didn't get paid like the Hogans, like the Cenas, like the Triple H's. It was a tough buck.
They didn't even get paid like the Miz.
Right, you are. Good analogy. Good analogy.
He was trying to work me one night. I said, Jim, look, I got fucking a great insurance through the police department. I don't need any of this shit.
That's great.
It's the real deal, you know.
That's great.
I could give you this better. It's like, I don't need it. What the hell I want this shit for?
Right.
But the reason I knew he had the bag, because the first time I met him, we got to talking about Rick Bolton, the guy with the dislocated arm, that he could do it on a whim.
I saw that on TV. It was probably I'm going to say 83. He
81.
Picked the guy up for picked him up for the chicken wing, and the dude, instead of leaning back, leaned forward, and he dislocated his arm on television. And dude, it was crazy for a 9-year-old kid who I was at the time watching that, going, "Holy crap!"
But wait, Julio, wait. We're going to tell it for all the family out there. Because when I brought it up, he said, "How in the hell you know his name?" I said, "Jim, I'm goofy that way. I have all that. It's in my brain forever." He knew the guy. He said, "He's not a wrestler. He weighed like maybe if you.
Why was he in the ring? They just did that back then. They just allowed you to get in there. Yeah,
because he could dislocate his shoulder. So Vince was
he had the gimmick. Oh, who knew?
Give him the flying hammerlock. He said, just do a little bit of bullshit, and then boom, the flying hammerlock. And then there he crawls away with the arm dangling. And Vince and Pat Patterson are selling it like crazy. And it's
my God, what a job they did.
He spangled this guy.
I was a 9-year-old kid who believed that he really dislocated the guy's shoulder, not knowing the guy's shoulder was dislocatable. He should have been booked for the rest of his life with the dislocated shoulder gimmick. He could have taken that on the road, Florida. He could have gone to every territory with the dislocated shoulder gimmick, dude. Oh, my God. Why didn't he make a living off that? He must have had a better job. But anyways, that's hilarious.
he was kind of nervous, but he was able to get through that one, and it was great. And it built George up for matches with Backlund throughout the whole territory, and everything was beautiful.
You know what? What the salary you're going to give me for this show, I'm going to take it. I don't want it because you just told me something I didn't know, that dislocated shoulder was just a guy who knew how to dislocate his shoulder easily. I really thought it happened for real. And man, my brain remembers that moment watching that match on TV in 1981. So
Julio, I was 26 and I thought it was real too. So
that's awesome. That is great.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew a lot about.
If you thought it was real, they earned their pay.
Absolutely.
Hey,
that's
the
what
show
it was
is
about.
called When It Was Real. It was real. Regardless, it was real to me. I know that for a fact.
Well, it counts.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
They made you, if you left there saying it was real and talking about it, they did their job. Then you were going to buy tickets before Ticketmaster, before Ticketron, before Internet, and they'd come back again. They always said that to us in the locker room. It's full out there. You got him here. What are you going to do to get him back? What was the magic number? Still is in wrestling. The number was 3. We'll talk about that when we talk about Bruno and Buddy Rogers. You had 3 matches. What was one of the biggest series they ever ran, most money making, never involved a championship? Sergeant Slaughter against the Iron Sheik that ended in the barracks match. Exactly, it was flag waving. You always made money with flag waving. It was one of the easiest things. If done right. Slaughter was a natural. The square jaw, the way he could stand with the mustache and the whistle. And that's what they did.
Hey, I don't know how many of your fans remember this because I'm 53, so I understand that your fans might be younger. Your fans might be way older. I think your audience should be probably at least as old as me, if not older, but you probably have younger fans too. How great was the whole setup where Sergeant Slaughter is either going to the ring and Iron Sheik had left the ring after his match, and they met in the aisleway, and you got Freddie Blassie and Iron Sheik hemming and hawing with Sergeant Slaughter to set up the beginning of that feud, and Slaughter finally says, "I pledge allegiance." Dude, was that the best ever set up for a feud? I'm serious. Was that the best ever? If you can name a better one, I need to know it. I don't care if it's Florida, Georgia, Mid-Atlantic. Name a better one.
The best ever with Slaughter, in my humble opinion, was the Hamburg Fieldhouse. And that's when he did the face flip. You remember when he was standing there?
Yes.
And he said his voice about people who had died. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in that building.
Was that the greatest? First of all, Bret Hart and Shawn and Stone Cold Steve Austin might have had the most recent, coolest heel turn babyface flip in a match, but that's different a little bit because it was in a match. It was pretty awesome, and Jim Ross did his job. They all wrote it well. But was that the coolest way to get Sergeant Slaughter to turn babyface? And if you could ever think of a better way to do a flip, start a feud, and get an angle going, I want to know what it was, because to me, that's still the greatest ever, where they met in the aisleway and had their heat. Can you name another one, or is that just it? And if you can name a runner-up, I'd like to know what you think.
Do you guys know John Callahan? He's a good friend of the show. Okay, John, because John had to wrestle the Sarge. He's like, I said, what the hell am I going to do? He's like, just go real quick. We're going 1, 2, 3, and then he challenged the Sheik. So John had the match right after the no shite.
That's so cool. I never knew that. Anyways, John awesome. Callahan. Hey, have we missed any? Has anyone written in and I see some things pop up on the screen, like somebody's writing a question and we're not answering? Are we totally ignoring human beings?
No questions yet. Nope.
Okay, just things are coming up on the screen that comments, no questions. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah, we'll take questions. It's no problem.
But listen, Fred, Benny, or Nikita, I want to know if you guys can think of a second awesomest starting for a feud, and then we can move on back to the beginning of the whole show while we're here.
My favorite heel to babyface in the early 80s was Jimmy Snuka.
There you go.
The whole Angle and Rogers.
Losing the money and Buddy Rogers giving the Iggy. Oh, my God. You're right.
Will you be my manager?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
man,
was pretty great.
That was emotional. I mean,
No, that was great. I remember that. I watched it. That was great.
And they were setting up WrestleMania 1, but I'll give you one with Buddy Rogers. And it's actually the night that wrestling won me over. In New York, Julio might remember this, you had 3 wrestling shows every week, 9 a.m.
No, I was born in Maryland, so I know WDCA 20 and WBFF 45 and 54.
They had the Thursday night feed from the Capitol Arena in Washington. Saturday night was the City Arena, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
What channel?
Channel 5 in New York, which at that time was WABD.
No way.
It was before Fox. And then on Tuesday was from Sunnyside Garden, Manny Hecklin promoted.
You would watch those shows as they aired?
When I was flipping channels, they had Buddy Rogers. They had Haystacks Calhoun and Buddy Rogers in the corner. Remember Buddy's manager? Bobby Davis.
Bobby Davis. Oh, yeah.
And that guy could put it over. He was terrific.
Very underrated.
Did Bobby Davis travel with Buddy to all the cities, or was he just a WWF guy in the Northeast?
The answer is, I believe he was the Northeast, because remember, Julio, those were the days of territories. They were
right, but Buddy Rogers was all over the world, right? He at least covered everywhere.
They worked a lot in Chicago together, too. Bobby Davis and Buddy
They went out for Fred Kohler, which is where the match with Pat O'Connor and Buddy Rogers took place. 2 out of 3 falls, which is what most championship matches were back then. But they had Fred Kohler was the promoter. But this was still NWA. What got Buddy Rogers the belt or got Bruno the belt? When they did the split up in Canada, Luthez got the NWA belt, and they created the WWF belt. They still used the old belt that night. I was in row 1, and I remember it well. And they put it over in front of a sold-out house. No videotape.
What town?
New York. The old Madison Square Garden at 49th Street and 8th Avenue.
No shite.
The ringside seats cost $5.
Okay, so let's do this, because this is always fun for me. $5 today. Go to the store, go to McDonald's. $5 today buys you what, or better yet, what would $5 then buy you today? And then we can know exactly what that ticket was worth.
Julio, Benny's a former bean counter. He can give you the facts.
Hang on for a second.
He knows.
I'm a bean counter. I had an accounting experience as well before I got into wrestling.
I'm going to say about $30-40 at least.
Cool.
Right?
That's awesome. So did you have to work? So in other words, if I make $40 an hour, which is a decent wage today, is that what you made then? You made $5 an hour to go to that wrestling show?
I started working in 1970. I was 14, Julio. I made $1.60 an hour. I worked for my dad at the car dealership.
And that's about right, because when I started as a bus driver in the Bronx, I was hired in March of 73. It was a union job. The starting wage was $5 an hour.
There you go.
Okay, so how about this? A 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in Garfield, New Jersey, or outside of New York City, like in the suburbs. What would that cost you?
$20.
I wouldn't hesitate.
$20. I'm talking about a house to own it.
Oh, a house?
Yes, a house. No, a house.
Well, houses back then, son of a bitch, you probably got $30,000.
Well, I'll tell you that my parents bought their house on Long Island in June of 1958, and it was $16,000.
Okay, 58. Okay, so that was Farmingdale, Long Island?
Yes.
Okay, so I bought my house in 2011, and it cost well over $500,000.
Yeah,
holy shite. Anyways, so it's just interesting to see what
back then
what goes.
When I was in the service before I went to Nam, Cowboy Bob Ellis country, San Angelo, Texas. I bought a brand new 1967 Chevy Impala 327 with a 4-barrel, air conditioning, power steering. They were all options back then.
I'd like that today.
$3,100.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, now a cheap car is $31,000 if you're lucky. Okay, cool. Good to know.
I just bought a new Hyundai Santa Fe. The sticker was $54,000.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Cool. I'm not sure where we are with Heroes of Wrestling, but I fudged this show up so bad, so I'm feel terrible for you guys. And you guys can get back to it if you want. I feel like I just ripped this show in shreds, and you guys have we even mentioned the Heroes in a year and a half? I don't even think we have.
We're not done, Julio. We're good.
I hear you, dude. I feel terrible. I'm like, left, right, up, down, left, corner. Let's go sideways. Let's do a post pattern. Let's do a flag pattern. Let's just ruin the whole show. Sorry,
Benny, are there any complaints?
No, not at all. Nope.
There you go.
Not a
You're
one.
doing fine. Keep
No,
on going.
Jane's got a couple of comments here. Let's see. It was $6 for a ringside seat in the early 80s in Baltimore, front row.
I used to go to the wrestling shows in the Baltimore Arena and the Cap Center almost monthly, and I would show up to watch NWA when they came to Baltimore. So I would usually spend every month, I'd go to 3 live events. So I was a total addicted professional wrestling fan. Cap Center once, Baltimore Arena twice, because it'd be WWE there, Baltimore Arena, and it'd be NWA, Georgia, or it'd end up being Mid-Atlantic at some point. And at one point, it was probably Pro Wrestling USA, but Gary Juster was the promoter. But I'm just
Gary Juster, there's a name. Vince McMahon Sr., rest in peace. His headquarters, NWA, was at the Capitol Arena at 14th and W Streets Northwest, which is now a pretty ritzy housing area.
Right.
It was interesting. Everything was black and white, fixed cameras. Ray Morgan was the announcer. Sam Mason was the ring announcer. Bob Freed did the second hour. You went in there, and on TV, it looked like it was a modern building. It was a shack. What they did was they painted the seats with a cream color paint that looked like pink plastic on black and white television. But they only painted the front of the seats. The backs were all splattered. It was part of the illusion of pro wrestling.
Hey, is that still available on YouTube? Like, in other words, the guy who wrote this book, his name is Tyler Cates. He also wrote this book, the trivia book, but he's written at least 3 novels now. Anyways, I'd hate to be like such a plugger, but while we're plugging, here's a plug. Anyways, my point is that available to see the Capitol Arena now? Can I watch that on YouTube?
I haven't looked, but I would take a look. Again, most of it was stills back there.
There's maybe 5 or 6 videos of the old Capitol wrestling shows on YouTube.
So what do you think happened then? It wasn't VHS then. So were people taking their home video cameras, the 2 reels, and like filming their television screen? How are you getting that?
Most of the problem is they were so cheap and penny pitching. They
went over their own tape. They just rewound it. They just recorded over. Yeah, I've heard that about music too. Crazy.
The way those shows were stacked, the way all those shows were stacked, they were stacked perfectly with time. They had 4 falls per hour. Each fall had 15 minutes. The only championship match that Vince ever gave away from the Capitol Arena, and they always had the dark match. But the one match he gave away was for the tag.
I was the king of the dark match, but that's just my problem.
The night that the Fabulous Kangaroos with Wild Red Berry dropped the title to Cowboy Bob Ellis and Johnny Valentine. It was supposed to be Antonino Rocca, but they subbed in Valentine. Otherwise,
what year? What year was that?
I don't know.
Okay, so Johnny Valentine, Greg Valentine's dad. He had a huge career in the Carolinas. Right, he had a huge career in the Carolinas, but because Capitol Wrestling, would he venture into D.C. or did he venture into Boston, Pittsburgh? And did he go into all the territories Vince ran, or did he just come up north enough to get on TV and then go back down?
He went into a lot of
the Northeast for years.
Okay, so he wasn't just a Jim Crockett Promotions guy. Okay, cool.
No, not at all. No.
Again, I'm learning as I'm here. I came here to learn. I didn't come here to talk. I came here to learn.
He used to team with the Chief, with Strongbow, up in Detroit.
That's correct.
Before Chief feuded with his son, Greg, years later.
Willie Gilzenberg in New Jersey.
Who?
You had Tootsman out in Pittsburgh. You had Bert Ruby, whose real last name was Rubenstein. You had all of these guys. The NWA.
Who was in Bergen, New Jersey? I used to work there for a company I work for now, but I used to have the territory of Bergen County. Who was in Bergen, New Jersey?
Who was in Bergen, New Jersey? I don't know. I know most.
You just mentioned it. I didn't make it up. You just mentioned Bergen, New Jersey.
No, I didn't.
I made it up.
Isn't Bergen
No, you
County
didn't make
in
it up.
Jersey?
But Bergen's a city in New Jersey. I thought you said there was a promoter who handled Bergen, New Jersey.
There's a Bergen County. There's a Bergen, name of the town in New Jersey. You're absolutely right. But Gilzenberg used to do most of his promoting. In fact, virtually all of it at what was the formal name of it? Something of New Jersey, and it's slipping my mind. But that's
do you think Gilberg knew who Gilsenberg was, or I'm just conflating two nonsenses?
I know who Dwayne Gill is. And Willie Gilzenberg was a big-time promoter.
Yeah,
very cool.
And Julio, he was part owner of Capital Wrestling Corporation.
That's correct.
I worked for a bond company in Baltimore, and I used to see the bonds, and Willie's name, Vince Sr., Phil Zacco, they were all.
What would the bonds cover? If the building got shut down by a riot, or if it was more like if some guy got hurt and he had a broken leg? What was the bond covering?
It was legitimate business. You had to have insurance for the building, for the wrestlers, workman's comp. See, that's why I call it true fiction. People think it was all bullshit. No, it was a legitimate business. You had, we were all licensed.
I get it. Listen, in certain states, say you ran a wrestling show in Maryland, you had to be way more legitimate if you ran a show in New Jersey, right? Because New Jersey just washed their hands of the whole thing. You might as well be in Costa Rica at that point.
New Jersey had the Athletic Control Board. New York City had the New York State Athletic Commission, some of the memorable chairman, Floyd Patterson, the boxer. You had Eva, who used to give the EKGs. Remember in New Jersey, everybody had the same EKG.
Jersey Joe Walcott too, Fred. He was.
So what towns were totally what states were totally just it didn't even matter. You just booked a building. You had no license. You had no commission. What states were those? Because I remember there were some states
down south. And you went up north. I don't think Connecticut had anything. I don't believe Virginia did. But
what about PA and Jersey? They had state athletic commissions that dealt with wrestling.
New York was very strict. And that's why you always saw the 4-ring rope.
I had to get an EKG to work in New York. I had to get an EKG in New York, but I never remember anything in Jersey being real serious. Back in the 90s and 2000s. Okay.
I'll dig out my referee's license. You had to go down to the Athletic Commission. That was at Broadway near, not Worth, Vesey Street.
Remember Pat Pinella, Julio from
I remember Pat Pinella. That guy was a total crazy man. Yes, he was serious. He was great. He was a charismatic individual, I must admit. Pat Pinella was great. Yeah, of course. There was another guy before him. Who was the other guy that took Pat replaced a guy?
Oh boy, who was before him?
All right, don't worry about it. That's not waste. We can't ruin your audience's time. They have things to do. Well, I'm sorry.
I have a hypothetical question for all you guys. So, because I never saw this show, but it sounds from everything I'm hearing, 29,000 buys for a relatively unknown promotion is really not that bad.
It's a great number.
$100 a roll, but it just sounds like a series of misfortunes. Number one, Gordon Solie getting sick. DiBiase not being able to appear, being replaced, the guy who replaced Gordon Solie knew nothing about wrestling. And then, of course, Jake Roberts, showing up.
Yeah, but Jake Roberts was at the end of the show, right? He was a main event character, right? So they combined two matches to make a main event. Jake literally took a python, and NC-17, if any kids are listening, he literally put it between his legs, and he ejaculated into a woman's breast at the front row, which to me is hilarious, but I understand.
He killed it for everybody. That's kind of a bitch. He killed it for everybody.
But how funny is that? And I will tell you what I saw. Listen, let me just tell you what I saw. I remember there was a cooler. It was like, hey, guys, we got you a cooler of beer. If you want to have a beer, have a beer. And I was like, oh, that's very nice. I might have had one. I may have skipped it. But all I know is it ended up in a room where Jake was, and the whole cooler was ripped to shreds by one or two people. He was one of them, and he came out as obliterated as you could possibly be. He had a snake. I remember he walked around. He put it between his legs. It came out this way, and he did one of these numbers like he was basically shooting a shotgun into a lady, like an old lady, like probably let's say a 65-year-old gray-haired lady's bosom, and it totally made the show chaos. And who knows what happened during the match?
In the back. He was a piece of shit then, and he's a piece of shit now because he put us out of business. Whoopee, congratulations.
Now
Don't get me
you got to
started.
know this. Everything was fine. His ex-wife showed up that day.
That's right.
The
And
one that Rick Rude had on her shorts? The one
I
that
don't
Rick
know
Rude
who,
spray painted on
right?
his pants?
Cheryl,
but after that
Cheryl?
we had a different Jake Roberts. Then he got lit. And then it wasn't just him. Neidhart fucked up the deal because he's standing there in front of Mike O'Brien. I'm not going to do it. I'm getting ready to go back to WWE. And it's like, no, you're not. But no matter, he wasn't going to put over what Yokozuna and Bundy was supposed to be a team, right? But
No,
then
then they were going to wrestle each other. Which was
Chris
a pretty
stepped
good.
up
It was a
and
pretty
said,
good
"I'll
match.
do it."
If I booked Bundy and Yokozuna at that time, that's a hell of a match. I mean, if you think about it, like that's the immovable object, as Gorilla
Oh, yeah,
Monsoon would say,
yes.
meeting the irresistible force. So cool, but they had to like combine the two because Jake was obliterated. Therefore, they had to combine the two matches to make one tag team match so they could have 3 out of 4 being okay. Is that the story?
It wasn't just him being obliterated. When Neidhart wasn't going to do what he was supposed to do, that's when they said, we got to change the whole structure.
And who saved it? King Kong Bundy.
Bundy.
Chris Pally
Chris
saved it.
Yes. Now, Fred,
Can we all tell Can we all
ago,
say King Kong Bundy, Chris Palace is a wonderful person?
His used car lot
guy.
in Sewell, New Jersey, and we talked about it. Bundy came through like the professional he was. Rest in peace.
Yes. And Fred,
Okay.
the match that Abby had with One Man Gang, you were the ref. That was a bloodbath. That was great.
It was a bloodbath.
They
It was
put
supposed
out.
to be.
If you like that
Unfortunately-
type of thing, a bloodbath was great.
Are you kidding, Julio? All them fucking ECW goofs out there, they thought that was the greatest thing. It's like, give them blood. That's what they're looking for.
I know. I was weird. I grew up in a time when I grew up in a world where I hated blood. And even in ECW, I was like, oh, God, I don't want to do this. And in TNA, oh, God, I just hated the blood part of it because I knew the fans knew we were just working. So I felt like it was horse manure. But I heard they gave out a hell of a bloody match.
They sure did, without a doubt. But you got to know, when we say when it was real, when somebody bled in the 70s, it meant something.
I agree. Red turns to green. I get it. And I also remember Blackjack Mulligan would cause the blood to occur due to his stiff claw, and that would cause the X to occur on the screen.
Right.
So I grew up with all that stuff. So I'm very aware of it. It's in my blood. It's in my brain. It's part of my cultural wrestling illusion for sure.
But the year you were born, 72, it started with the spoiler, Don Jardine.
I love the spoiler. Walked on the top rope before The Undertaker did.
Old school, yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, that was amazing.
He was great.
With his wife, Becky. She's very proud of what he did, rightfully so, because when Vince did the expansion and he called Nikolai, who was in Florida, he said, bring whoever you can. Don Jardine was the only one that came with him. Everybody else said, that ain't going to work. It's going to fall. It's going to fail. Vince is going to go under. I'm going to stay here where I know I got a job. And of course, they were wrong.
Very cool. Have we missed any crazy questions from the marks or the fans, or are we just no? We're just getting comments.
They're enjoying the chatter. But
all right, just making sure. I'm very interested in your audience. I don't want your audience to feel like they're getting some kind of where's the talk? Where's the heroes of wrestling? You know what I'm saying? So
you're doing it, Julio. That's it. That's beautiful.
I mean, as a numbers guy, though, grossing $600,000 plus whatever else whatever revenue they generated. I mean, was it really a commercial failure?
I feel it was a great, dude. I guarantee
what it was that Bill Stone. Remember his background. He had a law firm. He was an attorney, and he didn't want his name associated with what Jake Roberts pulled in that ring and the stuff with Neidhart. Nobody murdered us. We committed suicide.
Hey, Bill Stone, did he have an issue? Because I remember reading on Pro Wrestling Stories, great website. Did he have an issue with how much blood was spilt during the Abdul the Butcher match?
He wasn't crazy.
He never mentioned the blood to me. That doesn't mean he didn't mention it to somebody else.
He wasn't
talked
crazy
to me about
it
at the airport was the stunt that Jake Roberts pulled with the snake. That's what he focused on. He wouldn't even talk.
Now, remember the pre-production meeting? He said, nothing what Vince McMahon's doing. Please, no suck it, no hand gestures, nothing below the crotch, nothing like that. Just do what you guys used to do, please.
There was no trademark infringement. Remember, he had to use with several of the workers the person formerly known as, because as an attorney,
Yes,
he was
a
very
bushwhacker.
cognizant of the law. You remember
Very
that?
nice. The person because some of the names that he had were already copywritten and they couldn't be working as those names anywhere else necessarily.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
But I can tell you one funny story.
I love a funny story. I'm tired of all these serious stories.
Okay, with the match with the Bushwhackers. So Sheik, I almost was in the Heroes of Wrestling. It's like,
what do you mean? You weren't?
No, I mean wrestling, not just managing. And it's like we're an hour before showtime. It's like, where the fuck is the Sheik? Well, he finally comes. He's got his bag. He got on the wrong plane. He was going the wrong direction.
Yes.
So Mike O'Brien says, "All right, Sheik, you got
Run
here
number
last.
one. Russia number one. You see how play. Okay, sorry.
You got here last. You're going to put the Bushwhackers over. Wait a minute. Wait, no. Let them pin my manager. It's like, oh, that's stupid.
Let them pin my manager.
It's like, no, I don't have to put it. That's like, never mind. They just went with the way it worked
How
out.
many years later did he win the Royal Rumble?
Oh, you mean the gimmick battle royal?
Yeah, the one where he couldn't go over the top ropes. They just said, you're the champ or winner. Like, how many years later was that?
Okay, now don't forget, Paul Bearer showed up. He was Vince's eyes. He came to see what
He was in the
going
back.
on.
He came to Mississippi for our show?
Yeah, he was
I
there.
do kind of remember seeing him. That's so cool because he was from that area anyways, right? So it was like, I'll just show up, hang out.
Well, he was Vince's front man. It's like, let's see what these guys got.
He was
and
sent.
then they started.
He didn't get me a job, I can tell you that. But that's not his fault. Okay.
Well,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. This isn't about me. I'm just fooling around. Let's go. Keep going.
No, you're right.
Say your thing.
You got a point. But then they went with the Legends contracts not too far after that.
Oh, very nice. He saw the marketability of the Legends contract.
Yeah, but he didn't do shit with it. I mean, it was a $500 fucking throwaway payday for the guy, and that was it. And they really did. They had to give.
They should revive it today because now they have content coming out of their tuchus, and they don't even know what to do with half of it. And it's like repeating the same show. So today would be a nice day for a Legends contract. The ones that lived. They could just name it the ones that lived, and they keep going.
Well, you got to get a hold of Paul and tell him and say, this.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. I don't even watch their regular TV show, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm saying the ones that lived would be a cool name for a new Legends television show. Okay,
that's a good idea.
What were you saying before I got crazy and weirded out on the whole thing?
No, it's good. Go wild, Julio. This is it.
No, it's too late. But what were you saying before I interrupted?
Look, I remember Fred and I sitting on the bus at 4:00 in the morning going to the airport, and it's like, isn't this great? We're having
why 4:00 in the morning? Like, was it a 5:30 flight?
Yes.
Okay, because that was the one you knew would never get like delayed, and 2, it was the cheapest. So very cool. And I did 1 million of those for TNA because they would fly us to Nashville every Wednesday, and it was always the earliest flight available. So I get it.
Yeah, why not? If it saves money, and
I never even slept those nights. I just stayed up. I'm like, what's the point? Why am I going to sleep for 2 hours?
We were hoping and praying that it would continue, but I did fly back with Bill Stone. He was going to Washington. I was going to Baltimore, and it was like, I'm done with this shit.
What airport did you land in?
BWI.
No, why did he go to Washington? Did he live down there?
Yeah, he was from Washington, D.C.
I'm from Silver Spring. That's why I asked. Okay, some little neighbor of Washington.
And Dulles is a fucking nightmare. So just take the drive. Go to BWI.
No, BWI is great. Nope, love it. Cool. Yeah. How annoying are we to these two guys? The guy, Fred and Benny, where we're talking about our little Maryland, D.C., Baltimore connection. But anyways.
Well, I actually lived in Hagerstown, Maryland for 4 years.
You lived in Hagerstown? I used to wrestle for a guy named Dick Kerkhoff. He ran the National Wrestling League.
Yeah,
you remember that?
I know, Dick. I had people in Silver Spring in the Wheaton area.
Yeah, I could literally go to that mall in 5 minutes. I was in the Forest Glen area, which is basically a Silver Spring, Wheaton central connection, Four Corners area if you really want to get seriously connected. But anyways, at Northwood High School was walking distance to my house. For people who really know Wheaton, Silver Spring, and and Forest Glen and Four Corners, holy crap, dude. We're like dialing it in really tight. Anyways, who'd you know in Wheaton?
My aunt and uncle.
No shite.
My uncle worked at the Naval Ordnance Lab. They built a small house on 1518 Jasper Street
Jasper. I don't remember Jasper, but I can tell you I could ride my bike to the Wheaton Plaza, which became the mall. But
Yeah, I
anyways,
remember going there.
that's hilarious.
People's Drugstore. I remember that.
I know People's. That became CVS before they conglomerated the world. Very cool.
They were a big sponsor for the Redskins and the Washington Senators in the Washington, D.C. area. Yeah.
No doubt. Wow. I feel bad for everybody who's watching in Alaska. They're like, what do we need to know about this, like this whole D.C. Baltimore Beltway 295 corridor section? But hey, I like that stuff.
Why did they choose that venue for the Heroes of Wrestling? Why in Mississippi, though? Is there any reason for that venue?
Great
Other
question.
than price, I don't know. When I had never heard of it. Very interesting.
I can tell you one thing. I watch boxing silly. I'm a total boxing nerd. I am a total loser. I could watch 3 boxing shows in a weekend and not think I did anything weird. So my point is, I know that those kind of venues will actually consider those a sponsorship. So in other words, who would have even gone to that casino that was there? So they figured if we put it out here, you're knowing where we're doing the event from, you will drive to our event or our casino and hang out there on your own. So it was nothing more than a commercial for the event. They may have even given the building out for free. Who knows?
Well, remember, we were on a floating barge.
I think that's right.
It was wiped off the map.
I don't remember the floating barge. How did we get there? We took a boat?
It's gone.
Yeah, basically.
I don't remember any of that. Did we take a boat? Really? We literally got on a boat and went to the building? That's so funny. Well, I must have done a lot of drugs back then because I don't remember any of that.
It was Hurricane Floyd or one of the maybe in the year you were born that wiped that section of Mississippi right off the map. So it's like they rebuilt, and it's like, so just to make sure everything's fine, they're on a floating barge. And you saw it was a full-blown casino. I mean, a lot of people that the money they made that night were giving it back as because
went right in the one-armed bandits, like Atlantic City.
Look at the suckers. Look at the suckers.
Hey, are we allowed to bring up the DiBiase family in Mississippi and how they kind of circumvented the whole like the whole welfare system from the federal government, or is that just a weird off-put and we can't get into that?
Nah, let that alone.
I love those stories. I'm sorry.
I never had
Brett Favre was involved in some of that stuff. Do you remember the Brett Favre? Mississippi. I think it's the poorest state in the country if you don't consider Puerto Rico and maybe Arkansas. Whatever. It's all good.
It's okay. No, we love Ted. He was a good guy.
He's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, he was a good guy. He's still a good guy. He scared the hell out of me. Go ahead.
He did. Virgil used to scare me, but
Soul Train Jones.
Yeah, Soul Train Jones.
Anyone remember Soul Train Jones, or you just remember Virgil?
There's a show, Benny, the aliases throughout the years. One of these days we'll have to.
That'd be great. You could have Chippendale Tom Brandy before he became Johnny Gunn and went back to Tom Brandy.
Oh, my God. One time, remember Amy? What the heck was Amy's last name?
Amy.
What'd she do?
She was a manager, but anyway, we're in there with
Amy Lee. Yeah.
Amy Lee. That's Amy
girl,
Lee.
Yeah.
That's it. Amy Lee.
She's still around.
So we're in there with Sal Sincere. He hits Nikolai with brass knuckles. He drops him, drops me. We're laying there.
He dropped you too? Was he stiff?
We got to wait for Tom Brandy to run back to the dressing room and change into the Patriot. We're laying, and Nikolai's like,
"Are you kidding me? That's great."
This is a big cartoon. It's like, Nikolai, what are you going to do? This is what they want.
What did the referee do while he was gone for at least 10 seconds? Come on now.
10 seconds?
What did the referee do? What was the referee counting at?
The referee's tying his shoes.
Are you kidding me?
It was unbelievable.
I wouldn't have booked it, but that's cool.
And Fat Gino's ringing the bell. Ding, ding, ding.
I know Fat Gino. Yeah, he's still alive, or did he pass away?
No, he's long gone.
I'm sorry. But Hello Wrestling's still around, right? The guy who ran the NWS, remember him?
The NWF.
Come on, if you know Fat Gino, you know the NWS promoter. Come on, dude. Dapper Johnny, is he still alive?
Oh, Dapper Johnny. Yeah, he's still around, right? Fred?
Okay. Poor Benny. He's like, what are we talking about tonight? Where did we go? What is this show about?
Everything except what we're supposed to be talking about.
That's my problem. I'm scatterbrained. I'm sorry.
That's perfect. Heroes of Wrestling. That's exactly
great. Yeah.
It was everything but it was supposed to be.
We have to do another show about the Heroes of Wrestling because we haven't talked about it once, but that's okay. My fault.
Well, we're not done yet.
Okay.
But Fred, if it wasn't for that one single act by Jake, it sounds like it might not have been that bad of a deal, right? I mean,
yeah, what is wrong? I can tell you one thing. I'll tell you my perspective on it. I watched, and I'm not joking, I watched in the locker room, two dudes show up late. And I'm going to tell you, it was the Head Shrinkers versus Tommy Rogers and Marty Jannetty. And I'm going to tell you sorry about that, dudes, from my perspective, from a 5-year in the business guy, literally joined the wrestling business in 1994 and was on a show in 1995. My first show ever was 1994 October. So I'm 5 years in. And my point is, I watched the Head Shrinkers and Tommy Rogers and Marty Jannetty put together a match literally while the boots were being put on and the tape was getting wrapped. And they went out there and, in my opinion, had a great match. Now, you may read a story about it.
Match. It was the first match. They worked as the Samoan SWAT team against.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the Head Shrinker knowledge. Yeah, okay. But tell me the truth. You got 4 professionals and yourself. So let's make it 5 pros. They didn't have a lot of time to work it out because I'm telling you, they showed up probably when the Sheik showed up. I'm telling you, they showed up with no time and you're up first. And these guys literally talked like pig Latin to get enough stuff across and literally put on to my opinion, a fantastic match because I've done that to my opponents. Hey man, I'm late. Sorry. Here's what the match is going to be. And I flipped out a bunch of horse shit and we did it. And I know I have friends who hate me till this day because I would literally show up before the match started and put a match together and make them. So to my opinion, they put on a great show. So besides a couple of bad events, was that match good, Fred, since you were in it?
That was the first match. It went 10 minutes. I think it was one of the best matches for the reasons you just outlined. You had 4 pros who got in there. They thought on their feet. They didn't screw around, and they gave them a match. They remembered to play to the crowd. They remembered to play to the camera. It was one of the best matches. I agree.
Exactly. I still love the show. You can crap on the Heroes of Wrestling if you want to, guys, but I remember that was great. And I want to put over one more positive. Why do I keep reading that Tully Blanchard and Sweet Stan Lane went out there? I don't give a crap if they had a chess match before they set up the match or if they had like an insult fest somewhere in the background to set up the match. I can't help how they set up the matches. Did they have a good match, and did you work that match?
I did not work that match. The match was okay. It wasn't as good as the first one, and it came nowhere to the point. Bob Orton Jr. put over Snooker. Louis Albano helped save that match. But again, as you said,
how much of that was booking and how much of that was age? I'm 53. I could still have a great match today, but I work out 7 days a week. I don't give a shite if it's the last time I didn't work out that I wasn't on vacation was Labor Day, and we're in October. So my point is,
Snooker's match. Anybody, you could do Snooker's match blindfolded. You knew when he was going up to the top rope. It was like doing Bundy's match with the 5 count. That was already ingrained in your long-term memory. These were the things they did. To me, not just because he was my friend, one of the only wrestlers to eat dinner in my living room, but Nikolai Volkoff, to me, was world-class. No relation on the brand. Him and the Sheik, when they worked together, they got the crowd going. And their tag match, which only went just shy of 9 minutes, yeah, I'm looking at it, could have been a lot better. Could have been, and that was no fault of Nikolai's.
Could have been a lot better.
Problem. Here was the problem. Let me give it to you in a snapshot, and then I'm going to yield the floor.
Go.
Okay, we got there the day before. The ring came from the Mess Brothers in Pennsylvania.
I love the Mess Brothers. Are they still around?
The Mess Brothers. Yes, they are.
They still do ring rentals.
Yes, they do. Probably with the same ring. But we never did anything. We never spent any time like I did so many times in Tokyo, going over the show to iron out the kinks, to familiarize ourselves with the building. We never did that. I'm sore about it because for everybody, Julio, you, Nikita, all of us, it could have been something because Bill Stone really wanted it. Call him a mark, call him a businessman, blend the two of them together.
Call him a lawyer, brother.
Robert killed it. And I'd say it to his face. If you're listening, you're a piece of shit because you hurt a lot of guys that never did a goddamn thing to you.
Yeah,
End
amen.
of discussion.
No, poor Jake Roberts. He had an addiction to a substance that you and I have never had that problem with. Do you understand that? I'm just telling you that I feel like Jake Roberts probably had problems you and I will never have. I love alcohol, but I haven't drank it in like a week or two. I still love it. He loved it to the point where he needed it every minute of his life and who knows what else. But I'm sorry about that.
Whatever. He just killed the whole brand.
Whatever. I love it. I'm sorry.
It was a shame. It would have been the old timers' day of wrestling. The plan was, Nikita probably remembers it. Stone was seen doing these quarterly, and then increasing it.
Yep, I remember that.
That was his plan, quarterly.
All right, I remember that. So, do you think that the fact that I was 27 at the time and I had ECW and TNA to go to later in life, and it had a million WWE TV tapings to do and all that horseshit. Like, I didn't care, but like for the older guys, it would have been a much better moment. But Jake Roberts ruined it.
You did care because you understood the business. You understood that one day you would have been one of those older guys. And if there was no place to sell your craft, to sell your trade, it would have been worthless. You did understand. I differ.
Fred Richards, I want to know. I want to ask you a question, Fred, before we get further. I agree. I did understand. And I understand that it didn't work out well and it had a lot of negative effect on a lot of people. My point is, do you still get in the ring and still do refereeing, or are you past that based on physicality or just some other nonsense?
I did it once. It was ridiculous. I got the bad knee to prove it. I'm 76 years old. If I try it, I'll either be in a cemetery or the orthopedic ward. Do I love it? Yes. But you got to step aside before you're laughed out of the business. I learned that decades ago.
When did you stop doing? When did you do your last match? I'm just interested in on a personal level.
That's a fair question. My last one was about 6 years ago.
And where'd you work?
I used to promote down here in Jersey with my buddies. Phil.
I'm in Ocean City, New Jersey. Where did you promote?
We promoted mainly in Atlantic County, outside of Atlantic City.
I can see Atlantic City from where I'm at. I'm today, as we speak, I'm in Ocean City, and I remember looking up and seeing the Borgata. So where did you run?
No, we ran. They were usually schools, or they were VFWs. Whatever we could get. The old gimmick. Right now, a woman named Lois Thomas. She's running in New Egypt, New Jersey, at the American Legion.
I remember
those
New
were
Egypt.
The best because the overhead was minimal. It was minimal, and that's what we did, and we had fun. And then it was.
What's the name of that promotion? I'm just interested.
It was the Coastal NWA Coastal.
Very cool.
We called it Coastal because of the area that we ran in. We got along great. Iron Man Tommy Cairo, who, as you probably know,
I remember Egg Harbor Township, right? He was a big Egg Harbor guy, right?
He still lives there. He has a home there. He has a second home.
And he runs shows there, or not necessarily?
He hasn't run a show in a long time. He's appeared. He's done run-ins in some of the other shows out of respect, but his working days are behind him. He's in his late 60s now.
And there's a lady running shows there now?
No, in another town. On the outskirts of Ocean County, a town called New Egypt, New Jersey.
I know New Egypt. It's very cool. Very cool.
She's running on the 18th. Lois Thomas.
And what's the name of the league? What's the colors or the letters or whatever?
UAW.
UAW. And who was in the main event? Any clue?
Yeah, you'll remember him because you worked with him. You remember Biggie Biggs?
I love Biggie Biggs.
Yep. He's still working. Has he slowed down? Of course he has. This is 20 plus years later. And he was always a big, stout man.
Very cool.
But I had my time. I owned part of the NWA.
I remember.
Howard Brody. I worked with Chris Ronquillo, one of the finest men I've ever met in my life, and a dear friend. But time moves on. Time moves on. And that's why shows like this that Benny and Nikita have put together are priceless. Because
hey, Benny, you got anything to say? I feel like they've been hanging around just like, running the internet for a while. What's going on with you, dude?
I'm enjoying this.
Oh, very cool.
Now, I got to make one big
thank you, Fred. You are a historian, and I think you are awesome. And I didn't even know until Nikita invited me to this show how unbelievably knowledgeable you are of the WWF, and Nikita, you as well. I want to let you know, from a guy born in 1972, I love that you guys know so much about pro wrestling and its history. And I just want to let you guys know that from a guy who is way older than most people on the earth, but also younger than you guys, I'm so impressed with your knowledge of the business and how much you can spout to the human beings that watch your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got to make one mention. Fred, you asked Julio when it was his last time in the ring. Fred is a hero from 9/11. Believe it or not, Fred is one of those urban legends. He got to work late, but he stayed days after, paid the price. You, Fred, God bless you, because you were there to take care of people whose names you did not know, and you were there digging through the rubble.
Fred, thank you for that. And I also want to tell you guys, if you remember
I'm an
a guy,
American. That's what Americans do.
No, we love that about you, Fred, and that's amazing. And then believe me, we are always going to hold you in high esteem. I think there were people in the wrestling business who lost family members at 9/11, and I want to say one of them may have been Low Key. Another guy who was considered one of the best. Reckless Youth, phenomenal wrestler. Low Key, another phenomenal wrestler. So I just want to say to you guys know, I remember there was a handful of professional wrestlers who had issues with loved ones who passed away and had issues with 9/11. So, Fred, thank you for your service, and thank you for even being there to help out.
Thank you, Julio. Means a lot.
It's a New York family.
Means a lot to me too.
Anything in wrestling is usually like a New York circle. It's always connected one way or another.
Yep.
Benny, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Like I said, I'm soaking this all. I'm like Antonina Rocca. Vince, I'm going to take my shoes off.
I just feel like a nightmare. Have I been the worst guest you've ever had, or am I okay?
You're great.
No, you're what the business is. You're alive. And you're effervescent.
I'm trying to help. You know what I mean, brother? Anyways, I'm just checking.
Brother.
We're not standing there having to pull your tongue and say, speak. You did great.
No, I just worry because I feel like we came here for a topic, and then I just like split it off into like a billion directions. So I just hope you guys are cool.
Outros, let me say this about Nikita Breznikov. Police officers are my heroes because every day, and I saw them at the World Trade Center, Port Authority cops, NYPD, transit police, sacrificing their lives, putting themselves in harm's way for people who might have hated their guts only because they wear a shield. And they do things that the people who vilify them never had the integrity or the courage or the patriotism to do. God bless our police. God bless you, Nikita.
Amen.
Thank you.
We're with that, Nikita. Hey, Nikita, how far did you make it? I don't want to be like funny about like you made it to colonel and you made it, but where did you end up at your career end? Like, did you end up as a sergeant? Where did you end up?
Detective sergeant.
Very cool.
The thing that stopped me was wrestling because it's like, okay,
right.
I can manage this schedule with wrestling, but if I get promoted and I'll be back on the patrol schedule, that'll never happen. Wrestling was first in my life. It saved me. I came from an abused father. He was an alcoholic. Those guys were there for me every Saturday. And when we went to the arena, it was Christmas. We loved it. So, and when I got to tell them what a blessing years later, what a gift, who could ever imagine it would happen, they teared up. Chief J. Strongbow, Nikolai, they were all like, my God, we were just doing what we were getting paid. It's like, no, you touched lives. You made it. You saved people. Believe me, you saved people. It meant something. That television, every Saturday, Channel 45, you were there. We could
WBFF, baby. Yep, I remember that. WDCA. Did you get WDCA where you lived when it was all-star wrestling? Because WBFF had championship wrestling.
With the rabbit ears and tinfoil on it. Yes.
Nice. I'm not saying I didn't watch it with fuzz and black and white.
Snowstorm. Yes.
But when did you start watching? And I hate to be annoying, and God, I feel like people in the last year are like, what the fudge are we talking about? When did NWA show up on WNUV 54? Because I literally watched when Jake the Snake and King Kong Bundy started feuding because they had a heat because the leader of the Legion of Doom, who was Precious Paul Ellering, made fun of Bundy's size, weight, and fatness during a conversation of one of the matches going on where Gordon Solie was watching. So we're talking about 83-ish. So when did you... When did NUV 54 start showing NWA Georgia wrestling before it even got to Mid-Atlantic?
Well, now wait a minute. Go back just a little bit, because when Adrian Adonis won that new NWA version,
that was Southwest Wrestling. I missed that.
That was the Southwest version.
Was that on 54.9 NUV?
That was late 82.
And that was Tully Blanchard's dad, correct? Who ran that league?
Oh, I wouldn't know that much about it, but it
Come on, Fred, come back in. Did Tully Blanchard's dad run Southwest Championship Wrestling?
I'm not sure.
Okay, and I can tell you one thing. Tully Blanchard's dad ran Southwest Championship Wrestling, and the Sheep Herders had the titles, and they had literally, when you look at the belts, they had black and white, like cow fur on them. In other words, it wasn't just leather and some metal.
Sheep Herders, their original gimmick.
Oh, my God. And you talk about what a change. These are two guys. You talk hardcore, you can't beat them. I mean, they made a cartoon out of them. Both
what a transformation, right? When they came into the WWF as the Bushwhackers, nothing like they were.
Yeah.
Like George Steele said, hey, I made so much more money being a goofy cartoon than I ever did when people ran from me. I'd clear out a whole section if I looked that way.
Licked Mean Gene's head, and they made a fortune doing that, right?
But they also feuded with the Von Erichs, and they also, I'm going to say this, they feuded with the Fantastics in Mid-South Wrestling, where the cage matches were chicken wire and wood. And I'm going to tell you something crazy. Tyler Cates, the man who wrote the book, Two Stones, baby. He also wrote the Wrestling Trivia book. He also told me that at one point, gorgeous Teddy Williams was Bushwhacker Luke. And he had a hairstylist, and I'll show you how crazy that is. He had Liberace / Disco Inferno clipping his hair, and he was doing the New Zealand version of Gorgeous George back in who frickin' knows when. But that's what happens when wrestling trivia analyst Tyler Cates
he replaced
knows more than I do about pro wrestling. Did you guys know that frickin' Luke Williams was a Gorgeous George character in the New Zealand Pro Wrestling Federations?
I didn't know that, but I know we were.
Hello! Glad I could help.
Beautiful.
Guys, I don't want to be a party pooper, but at 8:30, I've got to break away. I apologize. This was great. Julio, Benny, Nikita, stay well, all of you. God bless.
And Fred's
love you, Fred.
Back, talk about Ring Wrestling Magazine in a few weeks, people. You're going to be over the moon, believe me.
Be my pleasure. Take care, guys.
God bless you, Fred. Thank you.
God bless you all.
Thank you, Fred. We love you, buddy.
Well, we're going to wind it down, too, because an hour and a half is good. They're not throwing the tomatoes at us. We're good. Right, Benny? It's good. People are happy.
I've had some tomatoes.
I got
batteries. You ever heard of batteries being thrown at people in Puerto Rico?
No, but in ball games, they had it done many times.
Well, I'm letting you guys know that Damian Sandow from WWE wrestled in Puerto Rico, and they put a ring in the middle of a projects. You know what I'm saying? So, like, imagine going to a HUD housing or a project or whatever they call it in New York City, in the middle of an intersection where you have apartment, and in the middle of the intersection, you put a wrestling ring and you ran a wrestling show. Damian Sandow had to literally duck batteries, rocks, and other types of crap, and he literally threw his butt cheeks out at the fans so they could hit him and pelt him in his butt to save his eyes, his nose, his ears, his head from those events. So in other words, how crazy is wrestling in an intersection of a project in Puerto Rico where you use your butt and your tuchus to handle the events and the objects being thrown at you? That's just crazy life. Wrestling's a crazy world.
I don't think it's any worse than the Brooklyn Street Fair that I first got introduced to independent wrestling. It was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
It was unbelievable.
Benny Scala, I want to know more about pro wrestling and music at the same time. So in the future, we should kind of figure out who started when, what big hits were going on. And I want to know one thing. Who came out first, Cream or Jimi Hendrix?
Oh, Hendrix.
Hendrix was before Cream.
Sure. Easily.
Well, what year did Hendrix put out his first album? What year did Cream put out their first album?
I'm thinking, aren't they both around 67, 66, 67?
Well, Nikita Breznikov feels like he knows everything. Tell me more.
She Who Knows All from this area of Seattle, because they have a statue of Jimi Hendrix downtown. He definitely, I believe he was before Queen, without a doubt.
I'm not talking about Cream. I'm talking about Cream. Cream.
Cream.
Yeah, Cream.
Ginger Baker, and who's the other guy?
Ginger Baker. Are you kidding me? Give me a break. How about the guy named Eric Clapton?
Eric
How about
Baker, and there was one other guy, right?
Are you kidding me? Oh my God, the bass player who's sang for Cream? You guys are lost?
Was it?
Dude, the guy was unbelievable.
I'm going
to
to
look it up.
But my version of music. So I'm pretty good that way. But Cream I never heard of. Forgive me.
You know them, dude.
Yeah, white room with dark curtains.
Now
in a white room with dark curtains at the station. Oh, come on, dude.
I got you. All right, then I do know that. That I absolutely know. Yes.
How about Jack frickin' Bruce? Who came out first?
Bruce,
who came out first, Cream or Jimi Hendrix? Because believe me, you guys love music. I know Benny Scala is a music nerd like I am. The 70s was influenced by Cream and Jimi Hendrix as much as the 80s was influenced by Van frickin' Halen. So who came out first, Cream or Jimi Hendrix?
Now it's a tough one.
Benny, go flip around with your computer. The other guy's gone. Jeff or whatever's read his history. Let's go put this together before this show turns down. What do you got, buddy? Who came out first?
Let's see. I'm going to do this first. Hang on.
Yeah, you got to freaking do this. I didn't hire you for this. I came on the show so you could teach me something about music, bro. I know the Heroes of Wrestling was the impetus of the whole event, but let's be honest, I'm a music freaking nerd, dude. If you don't tell me who came out first, Hendrix or Cream, we got a problem.
I'm going to stick with my original answer, and I'm going to go with Jimi Hendrix.
Really? I'm not so sure.
Say Cream, but hang on. All right.
Jimi
not
Hendrix.
Queen. We're not talking about freaking the greatest singer of all time, Freddie Mercury, and his freaking drummer and his bassist and his phenomenal guitar player.
Hendrix, Are You Experienced? First album, May 12, 67.
Okay.
All right.
Bear with us, folks. This is a good.
I know it's weird. It's like a wrestling show, but then we flipped it over to a music show because that's my crazy brain. I'm all about music. I love wrestling.
I was right. So, Fresh Cream was their first album, December 9th, 1966.
Yeah, baby. Anyways, I don't even know why I'm celebrating. I didn't make a choice or pretend.
Interesting.
Yeah. And when did Disraeli Gears come out? Just out of curiosity. Come on, Benny.
I'm going to say
Benny, you know everything. You're the music god of this group.
No, I'm a pop guy though. I'm like a Beatles.
What? You don't think Cream was pop or Hendrix was pop when he went and walked on the Monkees? Because Hendrix opened up for the Monkees. So you're a Monkees guy, not a Hendrix guy or a Cream guy?
Not a Monkees guy.
Come on, dude.
Not a Monkees
because
guy.
you couldn't have the Who and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, who then exploded music for the 70s sound, without a Cream and a Jimi Hendrix.
Released November of 67, Disraeli Gears.
And when was Jimi Hendrix's first album?
Right around that time. But Cream's first album was the year before that.
Right.
Flip the coin. They're close.
I'm a huge Rush fan, Led Zeppelin fan, and a Black Sabbath fan. But I know that if you didn't have Cream or Jimi Hendrix, you couldn't have either three of those bands because it's impossible. Cool.
Even Jane even knows. 67, Disraeli Gears.
Nice. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to turn wrestling into music, but I wanted to. Dude, Benny is like the king of music. He knows it more than I do, and I'm a music nerd. If I can tell you that.
I know. I mean, I know enough to do a show every Sunday, but I'm not like a savant. But I know my stuff.
No one's a savant. I mean, if we're just knowledgeable about a history, you're not a savant. If you're a savant, you're freaking Frank Zappa, who wrote crazy tunes about St. Alfonso's pancake breakfast, where he stole the margarine. Remember that one?
All right, Julio, unplug because we're gonna have to go home. We're taking it home.
All right,
later, dudes.
Let me do my poem, and then we'll say goodbye. Thank you, Julio, so much. But here's my poem. Tonight we spoke of a much maligned show, but you heard it straight from the guys in the know. Happy birthday in heaven to our friend Nikolai. You were one good man and one great guy. Good night, folks.
До свидания, товарищ.